in the constant pursuit of getting this bike right here, this guy right here, ready to go around the world. I'm missing two key things. Well, I was missing, I'm no longer missing, two key things. A set of crash bars and a skid plate. Now, I don't know how these go on. I vaguely understand how they mount on here, so we're gonna go on this journey together. We're gonna figure out how to get these things on that thing, so when I drop the bike, I don't damage the new beautiful paint job and new decals. Although I know I'm gonna do both of those things. So, we're gonna get to it. So, we're gonna open these up. Let's open these up. Okay. All right. There's one. And that is the other side. Okay. Bolts. Okay, for the skid plate. Instructions. I don't know if you can read that. SW Motec products should be installed by a qualified, experienced motorcycle technician. Qualified, experienced technician. I'm none of those things. So, yeah. 14. Is that supposed to... Oh, I see that. Okay. Now I know what that's for. So these instructions are half in German and then half in English. So, all right, I think next step is just lay everything out. We'll lay everything out. Okay, so left side, right side, myriad of washers and bolts and spacers. That's the clamp that's going to clamp these two pieces together. There's my instructions, my orange thread locker, and a myriad of tools. I think this is now where I cut to actually loosening / unloosening some bolts. So let's do that. All right, so I know roughly this is supposed to fit. Oh, Jesus. It's roughly supposed to fit. Right there. That's about where they're gonna fit. Oh, it took me a second, but there are 3 bolts. Where are we? Right here. So, this bolt, this main hex bolt right here, this is the hex bolt that goes all the way through to the other side on the top of the engine. So, what I'm gonna have to do is I'm going to have to support the engine from underneath. So when I undo this bolt and pull it out, the whole thing doesn't fall. Although, I was reading online that there is a way to do it where you don't have to actually worry about jacking the engine up like you might in a car or something like that. These bolts right here, 1 and 2, these bolts are also frame mounts, or they mount to the frame of the bike. So I should be able to undo this one and undo this one right here, because the bars are going to fit in like that. I've got the big long hex bolt right here, and then I've got 2 smaller bolts right here. I should be able to undo these 2. Actually, maybe not. I may end up having to, hold on. No, I should be able to undo these 2, screw these in, so the bar is actually mounted on the engine, then undo this bolt and pop that one all the way through. Yeah, it's gonna make sense. It's gonna make sense in a little bit. In a perfect world, I would probably take all the fairings off, but I really have 0 desire to do that right now. 0. So we're going to aim to accomplish this without doing that. Let me get some tools. Ugh. I think I'm just gonna take out this top hex bolt, which is a 6 millimeter hex. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see it. This bolt right here. This bolt right here. It is the topmost bolt that mounts to the frame. I'm going to take that out. Now, When I take that out, the engine is going to be supported by this bolt right here and this bolt right here. Then I am going to mount the bar to this one bolt right here. So it is essentially, so the bars end up hanging, for all intents and purposes, off of that bolt. And do the same thing on the right side of the bike. Right now this is the left side of the bike, so the shifting side. And then theoretically I should be able to go one bolt at a time. So you go from the top bolt to the smaller of the two hex bolts, then finally to the big X bolt that goes through the engine. That's how it should work in theory. So I'm going to go ahead, loosen this bolt right here, and pray for the best. All right, bolt number 1 is out. Put that little sucker in there, just temporarily. Yes. So there's one. Now, go to the other side and do the same thing. There we go. Yeah, so same thing. Top bolt is coming out. I did miss something. When I put all these bolts back in, I'm using a little bit of orange thread locker on these bolts. There's a lot of vibration that goes through these bolts, obviously, so it's good to have some type of, oh, I don't think I'm in focus. It's good to have some type of thread locker on there. I have run into an impasse. I can't mount this side without taking this bolt off. Hold on. Oh gosh, it's that bolt right there. I have to take that bolt off. That's the long hex bolt that was in the package. I have to take that bolt off before I can mount the bars. And in order to do that, I do have to support the engine from beneath. So I'm gonna get a car jack and just gently rest it there. I just realized, don't cut towards yourself. Don't do that. Like I said, basically what I'm doing is I'm taking some cardboard, stacking it on top of just a good old scissor car jack, and then I'm supporting it from beneath the oil pan. It's very important to protect that because you do not want to punch a hole in the bottom of your oil pan. And remember, this doesn't have to be, you're not jacking the engine up. All you're doing is making it so that when you pull this main bolt out, the engine doesn't just fall through. All right. I can tell that the jack is sitting on, or that the engine is sitting on the jack because the front tire started to move, and that's my indicator. So now I'm actually going to go in the opposite direction. So I'm going to mount from the bottom up. Let's see. Aha. All right. So this bolt right here, this bolt right here is the lower mounting bolt for the engine. That's the hex bolt that goes all the way through. This nut at the end is a 17 millimeter. So we're gonna break this thing. And by break it, I mean we're gonna loosen it. We're not actually gonna break anything. There we go. There we go. Nice. Remember, this bolt is your main engine mounting bolt, so it's gonna be in there tight. Hey. Aha. So I have to go loosen it on the other side. I have to go loosen the bolt on the other side to take this nut off. All right, important note. To remove this, you have to have a wrench on the nut on the other side, right? So I'll show you what I have. I have a wrench on the bolt over here, holding it in place so when I undo the nut on the other side, it comes out. There we go. All right. So this nut is now out, meaning I should be able to remove my main engine mount. Sick! All right, so now we're almost there. Now I'm going to remove that little sucker right there. And this third bolt right here is a 14 millimeter hex bolt. Come on, you little fuck. There we go. All right. I now have all 3 bolts off the engine, so now I should be able to just put this in place, thread the bolts back through, and mount the bars. All right. All right, so step 1, I'm gonna thread this bolt. This is actually the new one. Huh, that's odd. They are 2 different lengths, which means that actually makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. I need that extra little bit of length to make up for the space of the bars. So, yes. This is yes. All right. Yeah, I figured it out. In the case, there's a number of these little spacers. So, to make up for the extra length, I have to thread one of the spacers on and then thread it back through the engine. Just like that. Now, I take the other spacer, goes right there, then, actually, oh god, this is confusing. First I have to mount the other bar on that side, then thread that through. Okay, we got there. Hold on. So here's how this is gonna work. The bars are gonna mount on the engine. They're gonna mount like this. So, in order to make that happen, this bolt, or this hole right here, this is for the main engine mounting bolt, the long hex bolt, on both sides. So ultimately, what has to happen is, on the left side of the bike, which is this side, through the bottom mounting bolt, it's gonna go bolt, spacer, then it will go through the engine, where it will be bolt, another spacer, and then bolt. And that's how it should be. And then the clamp is gonna go right there. All right, so let's do that. I knew it, I was right from the get-go. I was gonna have to do left side first. So, like I said, we're gonna go. I'm actually gonna take out this bolt right here. That's another one of those 14 millimeter hex bolts. On this side, for some reason, I actually have a small hex screw that's gotta get loosened before I can start playing with that. In fact, I'll show it to you. So, first things first, I have to loosen this before I can take that bolt out. If I don't do that, I will destroy that bolt. I know because I've done it before. It's a 6 millimeter hex bolt, which makes sense. Let's see if I can get it on here. We will break this bolt. There we go. There it is. All right. That bolt is out. So now, moment of truth. Yep. There we go. All right, so there's another spacer and bolt in the case. So that's gonna go there. Aha. So, boom. All right, so that took a minute. There was a little bit of confusion, but we got it. And I'm gonna show you what I figured out. So, in the box for the bolts, I didn't realize this when I started, but the bolts themselves are actually a little longer than the original bolts. And I'll show you when we do it on the other side, but essentially what you have to do is, to make up for that space, you have to go bolt. Well, in this case, this nut has a washer built in. It's got to go bolt, washer, spacer. You need the spacer or else nothing's going to fit. So up here, this top mounting bolt, it's hex bolt, washer, then it goes through the hole of the crash bar, and then spacer behind it. Same thing down here. It's bolt, washer, spacer behind, well, bolt, washer, through the hole, then spacer. Now in this case you can't see it, but there's actually another washer behind here, and it says that in the instructions. But I'll show you guys on the other side now that I have it figured out how it looks like. Okay, so I'm much more confident for this side. First things first, we're gonna mount the bars through the main bolt hole on the bottom. Now, like I was saying, on the other side, you have to install the washer. Washer goes on the end of it. Then the bars, as you can see, now the bolt is exposed. Now we can put our nut back on. I'm gonna throw a little bit of thread locker on there. All right. So there's that. Now in retrospect, I probably shouldn't have cinched that up until I get the washer in there, but this is all about learning, people. This is all about learning. So now like I said, essentially how this is gonna go, I'm gonna do the middle bolt first. It's gonna go spacer, and then I'm going to take the bolt with the washer, thread it through. So, spacer, thread that little sucker in there. Come on, you little fuck. Get in there. All right, let's try that again. So, as you can see, there's that little hole right there. That's where this washer is gonna go, or this spacer, I should say. That's gonna go right there. Now I'm going to take another washer, hold it in place, take the bolt, thread it through the actual hole in the bars, and there we go. And we're gonna cinch that up. Don't worry, I will cinch these down to spec. I'm actually gonna have to pull them all out again. I am going to take care of these in terms of torquing them and making it so they don't come out. I do have to pull these back out and apply some thread locker. That's just going to be easier to do once everything is bolted up. So let's get this last bolt in. In fact, this one I will do thread locker right now. It's the smidgen. I'm using the orange thread locker. It's because these bolts are going to get a lot of vibration in them. Blue should be just fine, but they didn't have blue when I went to the hardware store, so that's why we're here. Also, very important note, do not over torque these because you are mounting them to an aluminum alloy engine block and the threads will strip, and frankly I don't know what I would do if that happened. There we go. There's that. All right, I'm gonna cinch up these bolts and... Ooh, I do have to show you the clamp in the front, but we're almost done. Okay. I'm pretty much done, and I'm going handheld now because this is a very tight area. It's kind of hard to see. So what I'm gonna show you is there's actually a clamp because these bars are two pieces. Because these bars are two pieces, there's actually a clamp that goes in the middle. And this clamp is actually what the top of the skid plate that I have mounts to. So I'm gonna show you what I mean. All right, so this clamp right here, it actually, I'm gonna have to do some adjusting, but this is going to slide onto this end of this bar. These are gonna cinch up, and then that is what is going to act as the clamp to keep these bars held together. So I'm gonna do that right now and then show you guys the finished product for today because I have to run in just a few minutes. Okay, we are at the end of step 1. As you can see, crash bars are wrong. Look at these little guys. Look at them. That was something. Learned a lot of lessons. Learned how to put those on. Hopefully I don't have to take them off too often. And now the next step is this little guy, which we'll get to not today, because I have to go to jiu-jitsu. So, until next time, peace!